Hello everyone and welcome back to the 7 Wonders of Genshin series. Today, we'll be exploring the nation of Sumeru and some of the wonderful locations it holds. I'll only be going over wonders in the Dharma Forest area of Sumeru in this video, which was released in version 3.0. Also, if you like this video, consider subscribing. It helps me out a lot and I'd really appreciate it. With that said, let's jump right in. Starting off on our journey, I'd like to talk about the Divine Tree of Sumeru. This massive tree has been around for ages, and it holds up Sumeru City. The social structure of the city is actually based around the tree, with people essentially being split into different groups based on their location on the tree. If you live around the base levels of the tree, you would be considered part of the common folk. Taverns, shops, and ports are all located down here. The lower area is also home to the Grand Bazaar, which is a place the academia, especially the previous Grand Sage Azar, frowned upon. Speaking of the academia, it is located in the middle of the tree. Its locations speak to the ideology that was adopted by many members of the academia, that being that they were above the common folk, and that they had power over them. This can be seen through the actions of Azar and the academia throughout Sumeru's Archon quests. There is still one level above the academia though. At the very top of the tree is the Sanctuary of Surasthana, where the Dendro Archon, Lesser Lord Kusanali, resides. The Archon of Sumeru holds a substantial amount of power, with the position of her abode on the tree reflecting that. Back to the tree itself though, I said earlier that it has been around for ages. Thus, it is essential that proper care is taken for the tree to thrive. Students from the Amurda Darshan, such as Yasmin, are in charge of monitoring and recording the state of the tree's roots as a preventative measure. There is a daily commission called the Great Tree, in which we helped out with this research. While we do find some pests around the roots, Yasmin tells us that living creatures are a good sign for the vitality of the tree. Thanks to the help of Amurda, this tree still holds up Sumeru City to this day, and looks as beautiful as ever. Throughout various parts of Sumeru, you may come across giant machines from Conria, known as the Ruin Golems. While this video is primarily about the Dharma Forest area of Sumeru, I thought it would be best to talk about the Ruin Golems as a whole, rather than go over each one separately. Anyways, these machines were also called mechanical wardens by the people of Conria, and unlike ruin guards and other ruin machines, they were manned by crews of people. The golem at Devantaka Mountain was manned by the Schwanen Rider, but the members were killed either from infighting or abyssal monsters during the Cataclysm. Members from the crew of the golem at the Valley of Dahri also likely died for the same reasons, as when their golem got stuck where it is now, they joined the crew of the Devantaka Mountain golem. The crew in the desert of Hadramaveth golem were once again likely killed by abyssal monsters, given some of the notes that can be found within the machine. Some notes throughout the machines also tell that some of the crew members turned into hilichurls during these missions, while the others tried to help them. As of the release of this video, it is unknown whether the last Sumeru expansion will introduce us to a 4th Ruin Golem, but it is likely that the crew of this hypothetical golem would share a similar fate. As for the fates of the golems themselves, they are definitely not in the best of shape. However, some parts of them are still operational. The golem at Devantaka Mountain was able to lift its arm, the golem at the Valley of Dahri was autonomously shooting lasers, and the golem in the desert of Hadramaveth still had weapon systems online and was able to move for a short amount of time. We have had the chance to investigate all 3 of these currently released machines, but we weren't the first ones to do so. Throughout the machines, you can find notes from a student named Zandik, who was quite fascinated by the technology he saw. He wanted to keep his investigations a secret though, as he risked being expelled for them. Eventually, all of his actions did lead to his expulsion, but he would also be presented with an opportunity around this time. he would be approached by the Jester, who offered him a rank among the Harbingers. He accepted this offer, becoming the second of the Fatui Harbingers, Ildatore. Continuing on with the Conrian theme though, the next wonder on the list is the Ruins of Dahri. In Genshin, Dahri is an archaic name for Conria that is used in the Vahumana darshan of the Academia. In real life, it has Arabic-Persian origins, and is generally a term used for those who deny the existence of a creator god, and believe that the world exists eternally in time. This definition fits pretty well with Conria, a nation without a god that sought to become a nation more powerful than any other. As for why the ruins of Dahri are here in Sumeru, we learn from the Caribert Archon quest that Conria is located somewhere beneath Sumeru. Perhaps these ruins were one of the entrances to the subterranean nation, or perhaps the area was an outpost of sorts. The ruins do contain many ruined machines, which of course makes sense for a Conrian ruin. They may have been there to guard the entrance or outpost, keeping those from Sumeru out. Additionally, these ruins connect to the mysterious Grove of Dreams, a place with connections to the Aranara. There are two versions of this place, a dream version and a real version, which can be altered between using a vintage lyre at a Salapna. Perhaps Conria set up a base here to monitor and study this mysterious place. The Aranara have ties to Greater Lord Rukkhadevata, the previous Enter Archon, so perhaps Conria wanted to get knowledge on them to learn more about the Archons and their power. The true meaning behind these ruins is still unknown, but the final expansion to Sumeru may give us some more hints. Just outside of the ruins of Dahri, in Apom Woods, you will find the mysterious Varuna Contraption. This device controls the weather in Apom Woods, cycling it between sunny and rainy every 6 hours. During the sunny cycle, the water level in the area is high, and during the rainy cycle, the water level is lower. This is because the water is being sent up into the sky in a huge pillar of water to eventually come back down as rain. This huge pillar is known as the Varunastra, and it helps sustain the rainforest. As for the origins of this device, we have to go back to the time of Greater Lord Rukkhadevata. After the death of the Goddess of Flowers, King Deshret would slowly descend into madness, causing Greater Lord Rukkhadevata to eventually leave his side. She would take a section of the desert and turn it into a rainforest, creating the Varuna Contraption in order to bring timely rains to the area. Eventually, the rainforest would grow into what it is today, and the one known as Vyaghara would be born from the moon's reflection on the water. She would be tasked by Greater Lord Rukkhadevata to be the protector of the rainforest, and would also bless the Aranara under the first Vasara tree. Right before the Cataclysm, she would also train the Viridescent Venerer, who I've made a video on. Unfortunately, both of them would pass away during the Cataclysm. As for the Varuna Contraption itself, its true origins would slowly be forgotten, with people now thinking of it as a spirit rather than a device. Speaking of spirits, I'd now like to discuss the Aranara, and more specifically, their place of residence, Vanarana. Also known as Mahavanaranapna, a name which even the Aranara think is too long, this mysterious realm is similar to the Grove of Dreams that I mentioned earlier, having both a dream version and a real version. The Aranara live in the dream version, and you can bring them all here by playing through the Aranyaka World Quest series, and finding all the Aranara hiding around Dharma Forest. During the Aranyaka questline, the Aranara also celebrate Festival Utsava here, in which the traveler plays music alongside them. As for why the Aranara only live in the dream version, the original Vanarana was destroyed during the Cataclysm, which caused them to distrust humans. After that, they began living in dreams and moved to the new Vanarana. With the help of the Traveler, though, they have slowly started trusting humans again. Beyond that, Vanarana is also where you can find the Tree of Dreams. By offering it Dendra's sigils, you can get valuable rewards such as Mora, billets, and talent books. In the dream version, the tree glows purple as well. The whole area gets a purplish sky in the dream version as well, making Vanarana even more beautiful. Keeping on the topic of the Aranara, we now travel to the Lost Nursery. This place is also known as Old Vanarana, as before the Cataclysm, it was the home of the Aranara. However, during that event, the withering and abyssal creatures took over, forcing the Aranara to flee the area. They did try to fight back, but in the end, their home was unable to be saved. Over the time of 500 years, sand would fill in the underground areas, and the plants and trees would all wither away. During the Aranyaka questline, however, we travel here and help to get rid of the withering and its effects. We make our way through the underground tunnels with the help of the Aranara named Arama, eventually coming across the sand-embraced home. This is where some Aranara, including one we meet named Avramuhukunda, who actually turned into a Visara tree in the past to suppress Marana's avatar, used to live. However, this tree withered away as well. Eventually, though, we reach the land of grounded dreams, where we work with Arama to finally defeat Marana's avatar. After this, Arama plants himself here and becomes the new Ashvata tree. The Ashvata tree is technically a variant of a Visara tree, with this one specifically defending the Lost Nursery. Anyways, the area of Old Vanarana is restored even more after the events of the Sumeru Archon quests, with plants and grass starting to grow here once again. This is because Greater Lord Rukkhadevata and the Forbidden Knowledge was erased from Irminsul, which caused the withering to stop affecting the area. Speaking of Irminsul, it is the last wonder of today's video. Irminsul is a huge tree located somewhere deep underground. While technically not part of Sumeru, it holds a great importance to the region, and the Dendro Archon is tasked with watching over it, so I thought it would be appropriate to mention it here. Irminsul is connected to the ley lines of the worlds, and it acts as a repository for all of the information and memories of Teyvat. It is unclear how it works exactly, as even though the traveler has met many people in Teyvat and has had an influence on countless events, there is no information on them in Irminsul. Irminsul is also linked to the Dendro Archon's consciousness, and Lesser Lord Kusanali was born from the purest branch of the tree. Irminsul is said to be the root of Dendro power as well. It's also worth noting that Irminsul grows downwards, with the branches on the surface being the very end of its roots. It may also grow near the abyss, as according to the description of the weapon Prototype Crescent, its branches can be found down in the abyss. Anyways, Irminsul is a big part of the Sumeru Archon quests. In these quests, we learn that information can be removed by someone with the power of a god, and we have seen 2 such removals. The first was Greater Lord Rukkhadevata, removed by Nahida, and the second was the Balladeer, removed by himself. The Balladeer was not fully successful, however, as he still remained in Teyvat as the Wanderer. Anyways, if information is removed from Irminsul, it will be accommodated by introducing a false history. Irminsul can evidently alter people's memories, as well as things like books and letters. Some evidence can remain of the original history though, such as the chair with Rukkhadevata's name in the Eternal Oasis, or the fairy tale that Nahida made that was actually Scaramouche's memories in disguise. This fairy tale allowed the Wanderer to recover his true memories, which means that the knowledge won't be automatically removed again if someone remembers the truth. There are other bits of lore that remained untouched by Irminsul, those being the descriptions of weapons and artifacts. Descenders aren't affected by changes in Irminsul to begin with, as we see with the Traveler. The whole truth of how Irminsul works is not entirely known, and it may be something I cover in a theory video at some point. Either way, Irminsul is incredibly important to the world of Teyvat, and is something that will definitely be important again later on. And those are 7 of Sumeru's wonders. As I said at the beginning of this video, This video only went over the Dharma Forest area of Sumeru, and the other sections will be covered in separate videos. I'll most likely do them by version released, leading to 3 more videos on Sumeru wonders. I'd love to hear what wonders of Sumeru and other nations that you'd like to hear me go over in this series in the comments below as well. Anyways, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Sources and further readings are also in the description if you want to check them out. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all in the next video.